dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today we have another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we were talking about Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I didn't know much about this one going in. I saw from Victoria's Instagram, Toxic Lesbian Vampires, and I was ready for it. And that's a good description. It is a good description. Other books from V.E. Schwab that I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, as well as Gallant, and I loved that. I picked that one up not realizing it was a middle grade book, but it was still fantastic. Anyway, so we've got 3 different points of view from 3 different time periods, 3 different women who we meet. The first is a woman named Maria, and she's in the 1500s. She dies in 1532, which is when she becomes a vampire. And before we get to any spoilers, I'll let you know this is just the basic premise and some general thoughts. Then you've got Lottie, or Charlotte, and she died in the 1800s. And then you meet Alice, who's in 2019, and that's the year that she dies and makes the transition into being a vampire. And that's for every time you go to one of their parts, it has their death date written there. So for Maria in the 1500s, she's a young girl when we meet her. She's got 2 brothers and her mom, and she meets an old widow, and not an old widow, a widow, and she meets her, and it's just very intrigued by her. And then as time goes by, Maria gets married and moves out of the town where she grew up, because her family thinks they picked, but she really picked the man that she was going to be marrying. He was rich, she lived far away, so off she goes with him. And then later she comes across the widow again. So that's kind of her story. And she's married to him, and he's just terrible. He's awful. Then for Charlotte in the 1800s, she's grown up with her brother and her parents and her best friend Jocelyn, and as time goes by, eventually she gets sent off to where her aunt lives in London to be presented. Her coming out will be like the next year, but to go and start meeting the eligible gentlemen in the city. And that's kind of her story. And then Alice, in the more present day, she's moved from Scotland to Boston, and she is getting ready she's in school. She's attending Harvard when she meets her maker, as they would say. And from there, we're just cycling back and forth through the perspectives, getting to know each of these women. And of course, as time goes by, their stories are, their stories are twining together, and then towards the end, they're all in the same place at the same time. And I guess that's really all I can say without saying too much. I've heard mixed reviews on this one, like people who loved Addie LaRue who didn't really love this one so much, but that wasn't me. I loved this every bit as much, if not more, than I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. First of all, there's just something very beautiful about the way V.E. Schwab writes these stories. They're dark and they're twisty and they're long, but they're so beautiful. And I mean, look at all the tabs there. Because when I finished this last week, me and my friend Krista, we recorded a podcast episode, which will be out on Monday, where we talked about it. And yeah, we both just loved it. I really loved it. I haven't really looked into the reviews of the people that didn't like it yet to see why. But yeah, we loved it. And it gave the feel that maybe it takes place in the same world that Addie LaRue did. So who knows? Maybe one day their paths will cross. But that'd be fun. Anyway, now's the time to click away if you do not want any spoilers. So now that they're gone, we can get a little more into it. So Maria, she, like I said, she's living with her husband. He's an absolute brute. She goes to the apothecary where the widow lives, or works. Maybe also lives there, I don't know. But she goes in and she's like, "Do you remember me?" She said, I was little when we met, and you haven't changed one bit. And we learned the widow's name is Sabine. And, they go back and forth a few times. Maria keeps going back because she does not want to end up pregnant with this man's child. And of course, it's the 1500s. That's his main focus. And so she keeps going back to the apothecary, the widow, to get like these teas to make sure she doesn't become pregnant. But in order to be allowed to go there, she has to tell her mother-in-law she's going to get something to help her get pregnant. So that's how they're able to spend a bit of time together, doing a lot of chatting. And then one day, Sabine asked her, like, do you want to be free of this? Like, do you want to be free? And she's like, well, yeah, I do want to be free. And so Sabine bites her. And then when she goes to, complete the exchange by feeding Maria her blood, Maria keeps drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. And Sabine's like, stop. Maria won't. And then Sabine dies. So now she's all alone. She's killed her maker because she's too thirsty. And that's one thing, like, as these vampires go along and meet other more experienced vampires, eventually they're like, I'm never satisfied. And the older vampires are like, yeah, there's no way to feel satisfied. You can drink and drink and you won't feel any more satisfied. But knowing that, control yourself. Which Maria, so after she's killed Sabine, she walks away and decides she's Sabine now. She's like, Maria, who I was, dead. I'm Sabine now. So she takes the name, she goes back to her house, kills her husband. Like, he's a dunzo. And then she hits the road. Then we learn a bit more about Alice. Alice, like I said, she's from Scotland. When we're in her sections, we get flashbacks to her time when she was young with her sister. And the whole time you're like, we're building up to find out what happened to her sister, because you get the vibe right from the get-go that she's dead. And she is. We learn that at the end. She got hit by a car. So, Alice is now in Boston, and she's going to Harvard. She's lonely, though. She's got a few friends, like suite mates, at the dorm at her university, but other than that. But so anyway, one night she gets herself hyped to go to this party. And she's like, you're going to get dressed, you're going to go, and you're going to have fun. So off she goes to try to have some fun. And she does. She meets a woman there, a very alluring woman. And they go home together. And Alice awakes the next morning. The woman's gone. There's a Post-it note on her lamp that says, had a great time, XO Lottie. And then Alice can tell there's something wrong with her. She feels very off. And she begins a hunt for Lottie in this town, in this city. She needs to find out what the heck happened to her. So she goes trying to find her. Eventually she does. And she's like, look what you did to me. And Lottie's like, I did not do that to you. I would never. So eventually Lottie and her and their friend Ezra go to this hotel room to talk. And so that's when we start getting Charlotte's point of view, which is Lottie in the present. We go back to the 1800s when Charlotte met Sabine. Sabine turned her. And then they were together for many, many years in love. But then as time started to go by, on and on, Charlotte started to notice that something was off with Sabine. And like it's explained at one point, like, everything dies. We vampires just die slower. We rot slower on the inside. And we lose parts of our humanity. And so that's what Charlotte's witnessing. She's watching as Sabine is like losing whatever parts of her used to be human. And she'll see it in her eyes. The light goes. And then, because Sabine, her whole time as a vampire, she has been incredibly, incredibly cruel. She's very like, she has nothing, no qualms about slaughtering entire families, babies, young children. She does not care. Even if she likes someone and she spends time with them, she'll kill them when she's done. She's no problems. So Charlotte's different. Charlotte's a little softer, a little kinder than Sabine, and so she doesn't know what to do until one night she decides, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to. And she gets like the knife, and she's getting ready, or it's a silver hairbrush, I can't remember. And she's getting ready to stab her in the heart. But she can't. And she's like, what is going on? And she realizes her body will not physically let her. And what we learn is that anytime you make a promise to a vampire, that's it. It's done. It's done. So at one point, Sabine had said to her after a night together when they were tired and about to fall asleep, Sabine said, promise you'll never hurt me. And Charlotte had been like, I promise. And now that's why she physically cannot stab this woman, because she promised her she wouldn't. So she's like, huh. So she runs away. She goes off on her own with the help of a couple of other vampires that she met. And they help her get away from Sabine. And eventually she ends up in Boston. And, you know, she has a bunch of relationships with other women. And those women end up dead because Sabine eventually crosses the ocean as well and kills them. She's constantly, anyone that Charlotte likes, Sabine kills them. Charlotte's like, oh my God. So she's like, okay, I can't fall in love anymore. I'm just going to have one night stands, have some fun. That's it. So that's what Alice was, a one night stand. And it wasn't Charlotte who had changed Alice. It was Sabine. And so Charlotte's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to kill her. You're going to kill her. Because that's the only way me, you, any of us are going to be free from this woman. And Alice is like, okay. And Charlotte's like, yeah, I can't. I promised her I wouldn't, and now my body physically will not do it. She's like, but you could. And she's like, since you were recently changed, if you kill her, guess what'll happen? You'll go back to being a human. You'll get your life back. And Alice is like, heck yeah, she's so excited. But like, of course, we're reading this. We know that's not a thing. That's not a thing. So it's this whole ordeal because like Sabine comes ready. For one, Charlotte's pouring them, or Alice is pouring her and Sabine a glass of blood. And she puts in a little bit of grave dirt, which we learned early on is something that really, it doesn't kill vampires to consume it, but it really, really makes them very sick and very vulnerable. So she's like, okay, I will disarm her with her drinking some of this grave dirt, and then I'll stake her. But she puts the glasses down. Sabine's like, no, I do not drink anything that's already been decanted. Even before we saw it apart when she was at a restaurant, someone brought up the blood wine because like they were at a restaurant for vampires. And even then Sabine was like, no. You'll bring me back and I will watch you bleed a human for it. I'm not just taking your word for it. So she won't do that. So then Alice realizes she's got chainmail under her clothes. Like she is fully prepared, or paranoid, however you want to look on it. But I guess it's not paranoid when someone's literally trying to kill you. So Alice gets the idea. She's like, okay, I'm going to go get in the shower. And Sabine's like, yes, you go get in the shower and I'll come join you in a minute. So Alice is in there and she breaks off a piece because the vampires are so strong. She breaks off a piece of the marble from the countertop, gets in the shower. Sabine eventually comes in and joins her. She turns around and gets her. And then poof, ash and smoke. So then she gets into the shower and she's like, heck yeah, I'm about to become a human again. She lays on the couch and she's just waiting for it to happen. Hours go by. Eventually, Charlotte comes home and now Alice is mad. And she's like, you lied to me. You said I would become human again. And Charlotte's like, yeah, I know, girl, I'm sorry, but I needed you to kill her. Like for your benefit too, for my benefit, for your benefit, for everybody's benefit. So now they're sitting there. Alice, pissed off, she looks over. Charlotte is reaching out to take the wine glass with the grave dirt in it. And Alice watches her for a minute. She has time to stop her, but she doesn't. She's like, you know what? Go ahead. she drinks it, and then Alice finishes her off too, and then just kind of walks off into the night, and free of both of them. And as she's walking home, her dad calls, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot the time difference. Like, why are you up so early?" And she's like, "Oh, I was busy studying at the library. I'm headed home now." And he's like, "Well, let me walk you home." And she lets him. And it was just, I liked the ending. I was sad about Charlotte, though. I really liked her. I liked her a lot. Like, I liked Sabine, too. Because, like, that's what you want from your vampires, right? Like, she was cruel and unrelenting and awful. But, like, that's what vampires are supposed to be. So I liked Sabine for that. But I also really liked Charlotte. So I was sad when both of them died. But it's for the best, I'm sure. Anyway, so that is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab. And like I said, the podcast episode will be up on Spotify on Monday afternoon. If you are interested, you can check that out as well. And you can hear Chris and I talk about it. And see what we thought. But yeah, spoiler alert, we both loved it. And as always, I look forward to reading more from V. Schwab. So there you go. Let me know in the comments down below if you made it this far. Leave me a vampire emoji. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Let me know if you've read this, if you've read any books from V. Schwab. What's your favorite? Can't wait to read another one. And I will see you guys again really soon. Bye.